Hey, you amazing geographers! I'm Teacher Jess, and welcome back to GeoCafe. So today I want to show you that you don't have to be lost when you're working with coordinates. I know, I'm sorry, bad joke, but I had to. But in all seriousness, I do want to show you guys that coordinates can be really easy to work with. I know for a lot of students, trying to navigate coordinates for the first time, they can be really overwhelming, but it can be quite straightforward. So we're going to go through it step by step. Okay, let's check it out. Before we get started, I do just want to mention that I compiled all of these questions into a little worksheet that you can get in the description below. So you're welcome to download that beforehand and try these questions out yourself and see how many you actually get right, and then we'll go through them together afterwards. Okay, let me know how many you get right. Cool. So I'm not going to go into the full background of what is longitude and latitude and that stuff because I feel like I've covered that before, and that's not really the point of this lesson. But for just your little recap, latitude measures how far north or south we are, and longitude measures how far east or west we are. So you'll see on this example, we are in the eastern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. So all of that south and all of that is east. Okay, now coordinates help us pinpoint where exactly in these hemispheres we are. Coordinates, we initially use degrees. So over here by east, we can see it's going up 5 at a time. So that's 10 degrees east, 15, 20 degrees, 25. And then over here, going towards the south, we have 30 degrees south, 35, 40, 45 degrees south, and onwards. I have these three little shapes over here, and I thought we'd start by just identifying what are the coordinates of those three shapes. The first thing that you need to remember is that we always start north-south and then east-west. And that doesn't just apply to reading it, but also how we write it. So we first start by looking at how far north or south we are. Then we look at how far east and west we are. And in this case, we are in the southern hemisphere. So we are going to start with how far south is our point. So we can see that we're starting with a little red square, right? Here is my little red square. So I'm just going to draw a line across, and here is my value. So I can see that my red square is 35 degrees south. Fantastic. Then we look at east and west. So there's my little red square. There is my east. So it's 35 degrees east. There we go. We got our first answer. Fantastic. Then our next face is the smiley face. See if you can take a guess at what the coordinates or what the south is. So here's our smiley face over there. And if we go across, we can see that it's somewhere between 45 and 50. So we can estimate that. We can say that that's 47. That seems fair. It's somewhere between 45 and 50, so we can call it 47. Great. Then, how far east is it? Fortunately, it's on the line, so I'm going to draw the line up. And there I have 15 degrees east. Hopefully it's okay so far. Okay, let's try the last one for this set. We have the little blue heart over here. And here is my little blue heart. I'm going to start with my south. So I draw a line across. Would it actually help if I physically draw a line? Let me get the little highlighter. There we go. A little bit lighter. There we go. There, draw a line across. So I can see that it's between 50 and 55. We can estimate again, let's say 52. Are we fine with 52 degrees south? There's always a little margin of error when it comes to reading coordinates off of a map like this. You know, what that margin specifically is does depend on the situation and the map. Okay, 52 degrees south, and now we need to go east. So let's grab our highlighter again. There we go. And we can call that, what? Let's say 33. It's between 30 and 35. So 33 degrees east. Fantastic. Okay, we've got our first set of coordinates. In the second part of these questions, I have a set of coordinates and I want to find what is at those coordinates. When I'm reading coordinates, it's the same thing. I start with south or north-south, and then I go to east-west. So let's get a different highlighter. I have 55 degrees south, so that's where I start. There we go. There's my 55 degrees south. So I rule line across. I can already kind of see where this is going to end up. Hopefully you can too. Then I go to east, 20 degrees east. So we go up here, 10, 15, and 20. And we follow this line. There we go. Do you see where they cross? So you see the little green triangle over there? There we go. That is the best triangle I've ever seen. That's definitely a triangle. That's our first one. Let's go to second one. So 43 degrees south. Okay, I've got a 40 and I've got a 45. So I know that 43 is somewhere in between there, right? So I'm going to draw my line about here. Okay, and then I have 30 degrees east. Here's my 30 degrees east. Draw the line down. There we go. Did you see where they met? At the little purple circle. That is definitely a circle. And last but not least, 37 degrees south. We have 35 and we have 40. So 37 has to be somewhere in between, right? So we have, 22 degrees east. So we have 20 over there. We have 25 over here. So 22 will be somewhere in between. You see where the two meet? Is our little star. A little yellow star. Fantastic. Hopefully this part was okay. So this is your first step in coordinates, and if you've got this, you're off to a good start. Are we ready to make it slightly more difficult? Just a little bit more difficult. This is exercise number 2. What you might notice on this one is that my intervals are now 1 degree. So in the previous question, they were 5 degrees from the one to the next. Now they're 1 degree from the one to the next. But you can almost think of it like it's slightly more zoomed in. So each one of these has smaller intervals. We can see more detail. Now we're going up in 1 degree or towards the east and 1 degree towards the south. So let's start with our gold star. All right, that's you guys. You're the gold star. And let me find the coordinates of this gold star. There you can see the gold star, right? We start with north-south. We can see how far south it is. It's 46 degrees south. So I can see that it's over here on this 46 degree south line. Great. Then how far east is it? Go from the star, 23 degrees east. There we go. It's going to become a little bit more difficult now. Don't worry. We now have the little purple circle over here. Let's start with south. We follow the line. We see it's 48 degrees south. So far, so good. Now, this is where it gets a little bit tricky. Do you see that it's between 22 degrees east and 23 degrees east? So it's not on a specific degree. It's between 22 and 23. Now, for this one alone, I will allow us to use the wrong units. Okay. So we're going to use the wrong units initially, and then I'll show you what the correct one is. So let's call it 22 and a half, because it's halfway between these two. Okay, now remember, this isn't quite correct. I will show you the correct one in a minute. Then the smiley face. Smiley face would go south. So we can see smiley face is also between 2 lines of latitude. It's between 48 and 49 degrees south. So we're going to do a half and a half again. We're going to call it 48 and a half. And then we can also see that it's between 26 and 27. So again, we're going to do a half. Are you with me so far? Every degree can be broken up into minutes. 1 degree is equal to 60 minutes. 1 degree is equal to 60 minutes. Now, a minute is written with this little apostrophe. What do you think is then a half a degree? Because we've been working with all of these half degrees, which I told you actually isn't right. Well, if 1 degree is 60 minutes, then a half a degree is 30 minutes. Of a degree is 30 minutes. Okay, Not too bad so far, hopefully. Let's add a few more. What about a third of a degree? We're really testing our fractions over here. 20 minutes. And then let's just put in one more. Let's say a quarter. A quarter of a degree is 15 minutes. Okay, so that's our next important piece of information. Up until now, we have said a half a degree, but I want to substitute this for the correct term, which is 30 minutes. So I'm going to go correct those. This one was 22 degrees, and a half a degree is 30 minutes. 30 minutes south. Good. And it was 26 degrees and a half. So 26 degrees, 30 minutes east. There we go. How does this feel? Hopefully not overwhelming. Over here, hopefully you can see that I used a half a degree. So this should then actually be 30 minutes. So I'm going to take out that half a degree and put in 30 minutes. That one as well. Half a degree is 30 minutes. Now around here, it should start looking like how you may recognize coordinates as it starts breaking down into the minutes. Shall we try and read these coordinates? The first one luckily still looks nice and easy. It doesn't have any minutes in it yet. So let's do that one. 50 degrees south. Okay, so here's the south. There we go. There's 50 degrees. Okay, let's just grab the little highlighter for the first one. 50 degrees south. So there's 50 degrees south. Take my highlighter across. And 25 degrees east. There's 25 degrees east. Take my highlighter across. Great. And that is where they cross. And there we have our little green triangle. There we go. Triangle. It's a bit easier than drawing it. Next one. 47 degrees and 30 minutes. 47 degrees is there. And 30 minutes means halfway. So here. There we go. And then it's 26 degrees east. There's 26 degrees. There we go. Okay, and that's where they cross, by the little blue heart. Hopefully this is all making sense. Let's try and do the last one. 50 degrees and 30 minutes south. 50 degrees, there's 50 degrees, and 30 minutes, so that's halfway. And then it is 23 degrees and 30 minutes east. There's 23, and 30 minutes means half a degree, so halfway across, and there they cross by the little red square. Okay, is this making sense? Let's try the next one. I feel like we can graduate from these questions and try something a bit more complicated. In this example, you can see that we've now included the minutes, and now the intervals are going up 10 minutes at a time. In the first one, it was 5 degrees, then it was 1 degree, and now it's 10 minutes. So this would be even more zoomed in than the previous map. Let's start by finding the triangle. So triangle is over here. We always start north-south. There we go. And I can see that that is 45 degrees and 20 minutes south. Okay, and then I take the highlighter and I move towards the lines of longitude. And now I have 21 degrees and 20 minutes east. Sorry, my handwriting on this whiteboard is terrible, but hopefully we can still make out what the answer is. Let's do the star. So there's the star. I'm going to draw a line across, or an invisible line in this case, across. And I can see that it's between this 10 minutes and 20 minutes. Should we call it 15? 15 minutes? So it's 45 degrees and 15 minutes. I want to make sure it's clear that that's a degree symbol and not a minute symbol. Then how far east is it? 21 degrees and 40 minutes east. Great. And then finally the little purple circle. That's between 0 minutes and 10 minutes. So we're going to call it 5 minutes. Degrees and 5 minutes. South. Oh, almost forgot my minutes. There we go. And then how far east? It's between 0 and 10. So it's again 5 minutes. There we go. Well done. We got all of these coordinates with degrees and minutes. Okay, let's see what symbols we can find at these coordinates. 45 degrees and 50 minutes south. That's 40 minutes. That's 50 minutes. Good. Then 21 degrees and 30 minutes east. 21 degrees, there's 30 minutes east. There we go. And that's where they cross, at the little red square. Great, a little red square. Then 45 degrees and 30 minutes south. 45 degrees, 30 minutes, there it is. There we go. Then 21 degrees and 15 minutes. So here's 21 degrees and 10, and there's 20. So 15 has to be in between the two. It's about halfway between them. That's about here. There we go. And they cross right there by the smiley face. Yay! Wonderful. And the last one, 45 degrees and 35 minutes. 45 and there's 30 minutes. There's 40 minutes. So it must be halfway between the two. There we go. And now we have 21 degrees and 55 minutes. East, 21 degrees. There's 50 minutes. And there's, just make sure you recognize that. When it moves over to 60 minutes, it becomes a new degree. So this would go 56 minutes, 57 minutes, basically up to 59 minutes. So it'd be 21 degrees and 59 minutes. And then the next one up would be 22 degrees, 00, or 0 minutes. Okay, so this is 55 because it's in between. There we go. And it crosses right there by the little blue heart. There we go. Hopefully you got full marks for this question. 100%. I'm going to make this more difficult one more time. But if you can manage this one, then you'll be fine. Absolutely fine. Are we ready? Starting with the little green triangle. So here is our green triangle. We first go to south. So there's south. 45 degrees and 24 minutes south. There we go. Okay, and now we have to draw it towards the east. There we go. 21 degrees and 13 minutes east. Okay, hopefully we're all good with that. Have you noticed our new intervals for this one? Previous one, we were going up in 10 minutes. Now we're going up by 1 minute. So all of this is 45 degrees, right? All of these are 45 degrees and it's ticking up by 1 minute at a time. So 20 minutes, 22 minutes, all the way up to 26 minutes, which means that I'm going to be showing you what a half a minute is. Although I'm pretty sure you already have an idea. The little red square, starting with south. I'm going to use the half a minute units for the time being. So I'm just going to write it down as a half a minute. And then at the end of the questions, I'm going to show you what a half a minute actually is. So we have 45 degrees, 21 minutes, but you can see it's halfway between 21 and 22. So it's 21 and a half, right? 45 degrees and 21. We're going to call it and a half minutes. Just for now. Remember, that's technically not right. I'll show you the right one in a moment. Luckily, that is on the line, so we can just follow the line up. 21 degrees and 11 minutes east. There we go. Then we have the star. The star is between 23 minutes and 24 minutes, so we're going to call it 23 and a half. 45 degrees and 23 and a half minutes. And then let's see how far east it is. It's between 10 and 11 minutes east. So that's 21 degrees and 10 and a half minutes east. Okay, so far we're happy. I want to find these points first and then I'll show you what a half a minute is. Okay, 45 degrees and 22 minutes south. There's 45 degrees and 22 minutes. I just love it when the colors happen to align, when the highlighter happens to match the smiley face. Then 21 degrees at 15 minutes. So there is my 15 minutes. Draw the line down. We can see where it crosses right there on the smiley face. Go. So we found a smiley face. Then 45 degrees, 20 minutes south. That's there, right? Make the highlighter that way. Then 21 degrees and 13 and a half. That's here. So there's 13, there's 14, so it's 13 and a half. That's halfway there. And it crosses there by the little is blue heart. There we go. And last but not least, 45 degrees, 20 and a half minutes south. So there's 20 degrees, there's 21, there's 20 and a half. There we go. 21 degrees and 13.5 minutes. So that was here. There we go. And there crosses by the little purple circle. Great. Now for the next thing that I want to show you, and that is what a half a minute is. In coordinates, just like in time as well, 1 minute is 60 seconds. And in coordinates, we write seconds like that. Then a half a minute is 30 seconds. Let's put in a third of a minute. Oh, I need to remember my units. Always remember your units. Is 20 seconds. And let's just put in a quarter is 15 seconds. Okay, is this all coming together? Hopefully. So now we take a look. Over here we have all of these half minutes. 21 minutes and 30 seconds south. Then over here, that's a half a minute. So that's supposed to be 23 minutes and 30 seconds. Wow. There we go. 30 seconds south. And the same thing over there. Great. Okay. And then the same thing over here. Over here, I wrote them as half of a minute. But now we know that that is actually supposed to be 30 seconds. Okay, make sure that you have the layout of your coordinates right. So notice where I have the degrees, I then have the degree symbol. So 45 degrees with the symbol. Then it's 20 minutes with the symbol, and then 30 seconds with the symbol. And finally, I included south. Okay, so always make sure that you have each of your three little units, degrees, then minutes, then seconds, then south, or north, or east, wherever it is. Okay, if you are fine with that, then you are fine. It does not get more complicated than that. The only way that it becomes a little bit more complicated, if you could even call it more complicated, is that eventually they will stop writing in the degrees. Let's take this map over here. Here we can see that it's 45 degrees south. That means that all of these, that one as well, that one, that one, that one, they will all be 45 degrees south. But they won't keep writing it in. They'll maybe write in the first one over there or the last one over here. And then you know that all of these are still 45 degrees. But that's it. That's about as complicated as it gets. And the same thing then towards the east. 75 degrees and then 3 minutes. And then we have 4 minutes, 5 minutes, etc., etc., and 75 degrees and 9 minutes east. So then you know that all of these in between are also 75 degrees. For these ones, I didn't make them so straightforward. I didn't make them half, 30 seconds exactly. So I've tried to make them a little bit more scattered, and we can see if we can still do it. So we must just remember our fractions. Let's try the first one. We have a little green triangle. Let's go find the little green triangle. There's a little green triangle. Now, I already know all of these will be the same degrees. All of this will be 45 degrees south. Now I can see that it's 45 degrees south, 21 minutes, and about halfway through. right? So let's just start with the degrees and the minutes. So 45 degrees, 21 minutes, because you can see that we're breaking up a minute. So there's 21 minutes, there's 22 minutes, so it has to be in parts. So it looks like it's about halfway. So should we call it 30 minutes? Sorry, 30 seconds. Yeah, we can leave the first one as nice round number. So 30 seconds. A half a minute is 30 seconds. Okay, south. Then let's see how far east. So it is 75 degrees, 3 minutes. Do we see that? So it's over here. So we're following that line up. So it's between 3 and 4 minutes. So it's 3 minutes. I'm going to put in the 0. Whether or not you put in the 0 depends on the map. In this case, I have 0, 3 by my minutes. If your map says 0, 3, then put in the 0. If it's excluding that, if it were just to say 3 minutes, then write it how the map is writing it. That's usually my best advice for students. If they're not sure, should you add in the 0, just look at how the map is doing it. And then how many seconds? It's more than halfway, right? If I were to say, if this is half, and then this is a half of that half, that means that this is then 3/4, right? If it's a half of a half, so then that line is 3/4. So if we have 3/4, a quarter is 15, 3/4 will be 45. 45 seconds east. Great. Then the star. Okay, so we know that it's 45 degrees south. We know that it's 17 minutes. Now, how many seconds? Hello, welcome. I see it's your first time here. Welcome to GeoCafe. We're busy learning coordinates, map work for geography. There, if I were to say that this is a half, right? That's halfway down. The star is more like a half of a half. So the star is more on a quarter. Do we agree? I think it's like a quarter way south. So a quarter of a minute, there we go. A quarter of a minute is 15 seconds. There we go. Okay, let's get the east. It is 75 degrees and 9 minutes. So we can, oh, sorry, not 9 minutes, 8 minutes. See, it's between the 8 and the 9, so it's 8 minutes. Okay, how many seconds to the east? So if we draw a line, we can see that it's halfway across. Half a minute, there's half a minute, is 30 seconds. Was that one okay? And then finally the circle, there it is. 45 degrees, 17 minutes. Hopefully by now this part has just been mastered. We've done so many of these with the degrees and the minutes. You've got this already. Okay, now how many seconds? Was it really 17? No, it wasn't 17. What am I doing? Guys, what am I doing? It's not 17, it's 19. There, it's between the 19 and the 20. I'm not reading the map properly. What am I doing? Just as I was saying, like, oh yeah, we've got this down. No, no, we don't. 19. Yay, now we've got this. Is it still wrong? Okay, no, it's not. Yeah, thank goodness. Okay, now how many seconds? That kind of looks like it's halfway, right? I think we can safely call that halfway. Okay, now how far east? It's 75 degrees and 7 minutes east. Okay, how many seconds? That is a half, and that is a quarter. Should we call it a quarter? Should we be exciting and say 16 seconds rather than 15? Okay, let's say 16 seconds. If you said 15, that's perfectly fine. There is a margin of error. So there is always that little bit of leeway that an examiner or a teacher or whoever would accept. Like I said before, the amount of leeway, the little margin of error depends on the map. So in this case, we wouldn't really be able to figure out, between 2 or 3 minutes. So there's a little bit of margin of error. Oh, sorry, seconds, 2 or 3 seconds. So you'll probably have like plus minus 5 seconds. But it does also depend where it is. I were to say, if I were to put a little dot here, I can't draw. We can see that it's really close to the 8 minutes, but it's not 8 minutes yet. So I would accept anything that's like 7 minutes, 55 seconds or 59 seconds or anything like that. Even if my memo said 58 seconds and I allowed like a little margin of error, 2 seconds more means that it's 8 minutes. But I can see that that blue dot is not on this line. So then I wouldn't accept it because it's not 8 minutes. So it really just depends on how you see that map. In this case, I can see that it's less than 8 minutes. So I wouldn't allow for 8 minutes something something. It has to be 7 minutes 59 or whatever. It has to be below that 8 minutes. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Great. Last part. What can we find at these locations? 45 degrees, 18 minutes, and 45 seconds. So let's go. 18 minutes. There's 18 minutes and 45 seconds. So if that is about 30 seconds, then that is about 45. There we go. Then south, 4 minutes and 40 seconds. So there's 4 minutes. If that's 30 seconds, that's 45 seconds. But it's a little bit less than that. So like here, there-ish, there. Okay. There we can see where it meets at the heart. Ta-da! This one, 20 minutes, 15 seconds. 20 minutes and a quarter. So if we say that that's a half, 15 minutes is a quarter of a degree, 15 seconds is a quarter of a minute. So there's a half a minute and there's a quarter minute. And then east, 4 minutes and 10 seconds. There's 4 minutes. 10 seconds is like here, right? So if that's a half, that's a quarter. It's a little bit less than a quarter. So there seems about right. There we go. Smiley face. Yay. And then the final one. 17 minutes, 18 seconds south. 17 minutes, 18 seconds. So 18 seconds kind of sounds like a third. It's quite close to 20 seconds, so it's about a third. Let's say there. Wait. Am I the wrong thing? Oh yeah, no, I'm on the right thing. Oh dear. Am I going to go back to the star? Have I given myself coordinates back to the star? I think I have. It's okay. Then 70. Wait, that's not right. That's not right. 75 degrees, 3 minutes, 3 minutes, and 17 seconds. There's supposed to be something over there. Yeah, there is supposed to be something over there. I didn't put it there because that's where my degree is taking me. I think it's supposed to be the square. Should we just move the square? Let's just move it. I just want the square. Yeah, just the square. Okay, let's go put the square where it's supposed to be. Yes, right there. Okay, yay, we found a square. And let's go put the square by the answer. How did I mess that up? Did I read this wrong? 17 minutes? Yeah, I wrote that wrong. It was supposed to be, I think it was supposed to be 22 minutes. Okay, it happened. That is as difficult as coordinates can possibly get. That's it. And I want to show you, I want to grab a map. Let's take a look at the actual intervals. So we can see they're 29 degrees and 29 minutes, and it goes up 1 minute at a time. So that's the same as what we had over here. It's actually more like this one because we still have the degrees written in. See? In this case, instead of getting directions to the star, we could get directions to that group of trees or this dam over here. Is that making sense? See, this one doesn't have the zeros in front. When I was saying sometimes they won't have the zeros in front of the minutes, then you don't write the zeros. So in this case, it wouldn't have been the end of the world if you don't write the zeros. One looks like it's sideways. But what I want to show you on this sideways map is just that they don't always write the degrees. So over there you can see 27 degrees. In fact, they didn't even write the minutes for every interval. So there it said 40 minutes, so then this would be 41, 42, and 43. So sometimes they don't label every line, they'll skip a few lines. But we know how to count in between, so we're fine. So they'll give you the 25 degrees in the beginning, and then that 25 degrees then applies to all of these others as well. So where they just wrote 44 minutes, it means that it's 25 degrees and 44 minutes south. I hope that this is making sense. Hopefully coordinates is a little bit less daunting now. Unfortunately, it's one of those map work skills that you actually just need to try a lot of. Just keep repeating it. But hopefully, you got some good practice with these ones. And I hope you got full marks. You got them all right. Well, have a lovely day further. I hope that you learned something interesting, maybe had a few questions answered. And I will see you guys again next time. Have a great day. Cheers. Bye.